Hello everyone. Well, today's video is all about the grey waste arrangements in this van. Now, when we bought the van, the chap that we bought it off did point out a slight leak from the wastewater tank. Now, he did offer the opinion that this wasn't a major thing and a patch or something would sort it out, but I was a bit cynical about that anyway, so I decided to investigate when we got the van back home. And basically, I found that the whole bottom of the tank had rotted away completely. Now, this was before I really started making YouTube videos about the motorhome, so I didn't record it in a video, but you'll see in this sort of slideshow what I did. So you can see I removed the old rotten tank from underneath the van, got my plastic container and made up a welded metal cage to hold that underneath the van. Then I drilled it and fitted tank connectors for the drain points, the overflow and the emptying point that I put into what was the cap of the plastic container. All the metalwork was painted in truck bed liner paint, and then that assembly was all fixed back under the van by bolting through the plywood floor of the van. And it turned out quite well, I think. Now, that arrangement works well, but it is of limited capacity. We fill up the 25 litre container within about a day and a half. Now, that doesn't really mean we're putting 25 litres into it. Obviously, the overflow comes out as close to the top as I could get it, but a little bit below the top, and the discharge pipe comes out of the lid, obviously about an inch above the bottom, so there's always a little bit kept in the bottom there, which I thought might cause a smell problem, but we've not noticed any issues on that front. Anyhow, the problem is if we're in position for more than a night really, then we either have to move the motorhome to a drain point, or we run the risk of that waste tank overflowing, and obviously a lot of sites don't like that, and it's a little bit antisocial, and we try and be as environmentally friendly as possible anyway. The issue really, I think, with discharge from the tanks is detergents. The organic stuff, I suspect, wouldn't cause a massive issue unless there was a lot of it, as long as you don't sort of put a lot of food waste down your drain pipes, which I don't think many people would recommend because they're so small. But yeah, the detergents are definitely going to be a problem for local watercourses if there's a lot of people doing it. So it's not a great idea to just dump your waste onto the pitch or the grass, and indeed it's against the rules on most sites. Now, I could of course just buy a caravan waste container, but they're 40 or 50 quid from what I've seen online, and I've got myself another of these plastic containers anyway, so I can convert this to be a under the van type container for when you're on a more permanent pitch. Now, of course, it's got a cap on the top, which is no good because obviously that's far too tall to go under the van. So what I need to do is to make an entry here-ish. Now, I could just cut a hole and the pipe from the van would go in there and that would suffice, but if I left it too long, that might all splash out when I was carrying it to empty it. So I've got some fittings that I can put on here with a cap on. Well, I've got a tank connector here, but I'm unlikely to be able to use it properly because I'm not going to get the nut through the hole in the top of the waste container to put it on. So I think I might have to glue this onto the waste container, so that I'm not putting any strain on it later, I'm going to glue this filler cap section into here now with this solvent cement. Rough it up a little bit first. Well, now I'm going to drill a hole to take that in this flat section here. Safety first, eh? Right, needs a bit of a clean up, doesn't it? I'm glad I'm only using this container for waste. It's got a bit of a ripe smell to it. It'd obviously be better if I could get the back nut on there for this tank connector, but there's no way, of course, that I can get the back nut through this hole, or indeed through that hole. So I'm going to glue it on instead with some all-purpose glue, but the hole I've drilled at just the right size that those threads on here have a little bit of a bite as well, so I think that'll hold it well enough. This glue does say not to use it for hot liquids, but obviously our waste won't be too hot, and it's not going to have to contain any pressure or anything, so I think that'll be fine. There we go. So here we go. This is how it should fit in. What do you reckon? So of course the idea is that if you want, you can close that drain valve on the vehicle mounted tank and just hold the waste in there until you get to a drive over disposal point. Or if you want to stay pitched for a few days, you can put my new waste container underneath and leave the drain on the vehicle mounted tank open, and then every day you can just slide that out and go and empty that tank. Let's give it a little test. That's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like, subscribe if you want to see some more, and ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.